There's just been a no confidence vote here at the National Parliament in Port-au-Prince, and parliamentary members here have voted out the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister of the country had made a speech saying that he did take full responsibility for the current situation here, the violence here. He also said that he was not coming back here to discuss the situation further, and he said Parliament members could do what they want, telling them it was up to them. At that point, Parliament members raised their hands. It was a majority vote, and he is now leaving the National Parliament.
Well, Mike Kirsch joins us now live from the Haitian capital to talk about what all of this means. Mike, what's the next step for the lawmakers? Where do they go from here?
Well, they're going to have to replace the Prime Minister, and of the people that we've been talking with around the city here, we haven't heard really any names mentioned. There could be some other Parliament member who is voted into that seat, but at this stage it certainly has released some pressure. The removal of the Prime Minister today, we have celebrations in the streets. People here were demanding that Alexis step down, and I can tell you from my own experience here on in the past, whenever there is political change in the midst of turmoil here, it does certainly release pressure in this country. It happened in 2004 when Jean-Bertrand Aristide was ousted during some very difficult times here. We saw it again in 2006 when the current president, René Préval, was elected. It brought calm here, but now 2 years later, Préval has his hands full, and the situation isn't totally under control, even with the removal today of the Prime Minister, Anand.
Mike, can we expect to see food prices being reduced? The President, René Préval, has said earlier on that he cannot cut taxes on food prices because he needs the income for other projects. So under those circumstances, can we expect lawmakers to push any kind of reduction in food prices?
I don't think they're going to try to reduce the food prices here, as you stated, and as the president here has stated, by reducing the import taxes here. And they are, of course, saying the high fuel prices around the world are contributing to the problem here. But what the president has said here in a speech earlier this week is that the key here right now is calm and stability. And there's a direct quote from that speech. He says, agriculture, education are very important to this country. The international community will help us with that. This can help bring stability to the country, and that's what has to take place here now. You know, foreign investment is not going to take place here if you've got chaos in the streets. So for the time being, this is a very favorable sign for this country to hopefully see more peaceful days ahead, Anand.
Well, as you point out, Mike, calm and stability is the key. That's what the government has been looking for. After this past week of very, very deadly riots in Haiti, are we seeing stability on the streets now?
We definitely are, and with this, what they're looking at now is the sacrificial lamb from the government. Somebody has to take responsibility for this, in this case the Prime Minister being removed. There is calm on the streets. People are going about their business, and as we've been reporting all week, most of that routine is trying to find food they can afford.
Thanks, Mike. That's Al Jazeera's Mike Kirsch reporting from Port-au-Prince in Haiti. Here on Al Jazeera, we've been reporting on food shortages around the world. We turn our focus today to Argentina. Consumers there are beginning to feel the squeeze as well. The South American nation is known for its top quality beef, corn and soy exports. Farmers prefer sending their products abroad, but that is leading to shortages for local people who can't afford to buy as much as they used to. Lucia Newman reports.
Argentina was once known as the breadbasket of the world. A country synonymous with food, especially its prized free-range beef. It used to be so inexpensive that Argentines would buy a month's supply at a time, but no more.
In 2006, a study showed that Argentines ate an average of 70 kilos of beef per person, compared to 35 kilos, which is the world average, more than anybody else in the world. But that was 2 years ago, and in that short time, the price of beef in this country has more than doubled, and now there are a lot of people that can't even afford to buy it.
At South America's largest slaughterhouse and meatpacking plant, we're told that government controls are to blame for dwindling cattle stocks, which drive prices up.
The government has put restrictions on the export of high-grade cuts of meat, especially to the European Union, and that has repressed the industry.
And so cattle farmers have turned to a lucrative alternative: soy, the country's new #1 cash crop. With world prices skyrocketing, more than half of Argentina's fertile soil is now being used to plant this little bean, which is not consumed here, but rather exported, mainly to East Asia.
In the meantime, our government is implementing policies that punish the traditional agro sector, especially the cattle and dairy sector. It's a misguided and obviously useless attempt to control prices and inflation.
We feed 25 to 30 children between 3 and 6, 30 between the ages of 7 and 12, about 80 in all.
In Formosa province, one of the nation's poorest, this family runs a soup kitchen financed by the local government.
But they don't send us chicken anymore, or cheese or tomato, and there's not enough bread to go around.
And so, while Argentina sends its soy to Asia to feed pigs and cattle on the other side of the world, production of food at home is dropping, prices are soaring, and people are again beginning to go hungry. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Buenos Aires.
For more now on the growing food problem in Argentina, I'm joined by Roberto Bissio. He's the Latin American representative for the Third World Network. It's a non-profit organization dedicated to the issues of development. Mr. Bissio, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for this.
Any way to establish how serious this problem is in Argentina?
Well, it's a problem which relates to the food crisis. It's also a political problem. It's a social problem of poor versus rich. And it's a major environmental problem as soybean production expands over other agricultural sectors, reduces the production of fruit, of basic food and grain, increases therefore the local price with a product that is being exported that is not even for human consumption but mainly for animal consumption. And that is at the heart of the crisis at the moment where soybeans are now at around $500 per ton, where they used to be at $50 a while ago, a few years ago. The whole problem originated in the decision of Argentinian President Cristina Fernandez to tax the enormous profits of the soy exporting sector. They tenfolded their price without making any contribution to the 95% of the Argentinian population that lives in the cities and that is suffering from poverty.
So is it price that is leading farmers to cultivate soy instead of other products?
Yes, definitely. I mean, with those high prices, the temptation for producers to go onto soybean and to expand the agricultural frontier is enormous. And it is happening also in neighboring countries like in Uruguay and my country, where Argentinian soybean producers are buying the fields to contribute to that expanding and high price market for soybeans in East Asia.
Now, as we mentioned, of course, Argentina is known for its exports of beef. Has that been affected?
Definitely, because there is an expansion of soybeans over fields that were used for cattle production.
Okay, Mr. Bissio, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, in other news, a Colombian court is temporarily blocking the extradition of one of the country's most feared warlords to the United States. Carlos Mario Jimenez, better known as Macaco, is wanted in the U.S. on charges of drug trafficking, money laundering and financing so-called terrorist groups. The court says it will delay Jimenez's extradition until it decides if he should first finish out his prison term in Colombia. And that is it from us here in Washington for now. It's back to Doha. And coming up a little later...
You know, when you're bitter, you turn to what you can count on.
We'll tell you why Barack Obama is at the center of yet another controversy in the U.S. presidential race. That's coming up later.
Hello, everybody. Hello. So much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You.
Thanks.
You.
Bye.
Okay. Oh, great.